So it was the largest solar project in one site.
Rewa Solar Power.
So this is an opportunity which we created out of nothing.
Prime Minister Modi is inaugurating Asia's largest solar power plant.
Government of India ministers coming to inaugurate.
Mr. Modi came out. The pride is so visible on your face. It's like you saying, Viks, it was my son who was born that day. It's like that kind of pride is visible. How much is that Rewa Power Project generating today?
Basically a 750 megawatt plant.
Did the private players make any money on that project?
The challenge really was that the central government was already doing solar auctions. So they said, what the hell new are you going to teach us about it?
Tell us a little bit about it. How big is the project? Where is it located? What year did it get commissioned? And how is it performing today?
When I did the Rewa Solar Project, which became a big hit and it's on the net as well, it became a milestone. There were 4 Government of India ministers coming to inaugurate the thing. All work done by IFC with Government of MP. So this is an opportunity which we created out of nothing. Like in 2015, the Government of MP started a dialogue with my colleague in the World Bank, asking them for $500 million to create this project in Rewa, 750 megawatt solar. It was at that time, 2015, it was a new concept in terms of the youth scale. So it was the largest solar project in one site that was conceived at that point. Now, of course, we do much bigger. And so World Bank was thinking of funding this. And then we came in from IFC, and World Bank being our colleagues in a way, but their interest is more in funding the government to do these projects. Our interest is more in funding private sector, and we promote when private sector can do it, why are you doing it, sort of thing. So we have a concept called maximizing finance for development, which means let the private sector do what it can do and don't get into their pathway. Don't try to do that. So we had this dialogue, and we eventually won that dialogue. And I was in the center of dialogue where the World Bank had to withdraw its support for the project, and then we had to promote a private sector solution to it. And that's where we sort of dived into its center, and my team was pulled in. And there also the challenge really was that the central government was already doing solar auctions. So they said, what the hell new are you going to teach us about this? So we are doing so many auctions since then. So we actually got hold of Government of MP. We convinced them that you really need to lead this project. It's your project. We'll help you. And the moment we did that, the Government of MP was denied a subsidy which was available to the Government of India to do these projects. So there was no subsidy. Now we had to work with a state government entity, which is less preferred by investors because they are not distribution companies which are not working well. And then we had to arrive at a lesser tariff because we were making them compete with Government of India, and we were saying we can. So it was a big challenge for us, and we brought in this concept which we did, which was how do you prepare projects thoroughly 360 degrees to remove or mitigate the risks upfront and make it investment ready, or what is known as shovel ready. So that when it comes to the private sector, most of the risks are very well addressed. And these risks are associated with land being accumulated, transmission being tied up, power procurement contracts being rock solid, payment security being made, and government guarantees being put. So all of that cooking, we basically laid out that philosophy. We won't need Government of India subsidy if you do a very thorough contract, a good commercial structure, a good thorough legal contracts, mitigate the environment and social risks and all that. So we did all that, and then structured an auction mechanism, and it turned out to be the lowest ever tariff achieved in India without subsidy, and a full market with 20 out of which 10 international players competing for a state government contract for the first ever time. And so it became big history, and then all that we did was picked up by Government of India. They invited me also to help them write their guidelines for national solar biddings, etc. And then IFC and our team was invited into doing many more projects across states. So that's really what.
How many pages was the contract that was finally signed?
There were multiple. There was the power purchase agreement. There was the implementation support agreement. There was a coordination agreement. There was a government guarantee agreement. And there was a land lease agreement. So all of each one of this would nothing would be less than 150 pages, and some of them would be 200 to 250 pages. And each clause was to be negotiated with multiple clients, because this project, unlike anything that had happened ever in India or the world, was selling power not only to the government MP utility, but also to the Delhi Metro to run its metro trains on solar power for the first time ever. So you had a user who only had a small user who only had to use this solar power to run its train uh, across states, power to go across states using open access, and one utility. So getting all these institutions together and writing contracts meant actually convincing each and every skeptic guy in their setup about each and every clause, and so it was a big affair that we led, and it
Bhanu,
was
did you
I,
read these 2,500 pages? So
no
I
I
counted approximately 10 contracts, 200
uh,
pages per contract, 2,000 pages.
not only read, I mean, I along with my colleagues, of course, and I led that. And that's why I speak so proudly of it. It was from first principles, because Viks, it was my first power sector project that I did in my life. And it became, so it was from first principle, each and every word, not
The
only had to
pride
be.
is so visible on your face. It's like you saying, Vix, it was my son who was born that day. It's like that kind of pride is visible on your face.
It was purely one of the high points of my life. It has also given me a lot of reputation.
How much is that Rewa Power Project generating today?
So it's basically a 750 megawatt plant. So that it's a huge plant still, even though we are doing much larger. I did 1500 megawatts after that with Indian Railways and state utility, and we are doing many more other larger projects with more innovation. But that was 750 megawatts. So, and it's supplying power. 25% of that power it's supplying to Delhi Metro. It runs across the interstate transmission system and supplies there. And so Delhi Metro trains are run on that power and then rebalanced with.
And it is producing 750 megawatts.
Yes.
Is it per year, per month, per day?
Like a capacity. So 750 megawatt is the capacity, and then you multiply it by the time factor. So in a day, it would typically produce about 750 into 8. It's because during the sun time only, when the sun is shining, then only it generates power. So it doesn't generate all 24 hours. It will generate about 10 hours. So there's something called a capacity factor, which is around 20%. So 20% into 750 into 24 is really what it generates as a result.
Okay, so it's a grid connected photovoltaic solar
Yes.
park spread over 1,590 acres.
Yes.
Started producing power in 2018. Mr. Modi came, huh?
Yeah. So Modi came. Shivraj Chauhan felicitated a lot of people. I was one of them on the stage in a big 20,000 people setup and all. So that was a good point, So
And I had one follow-up question on the Rewa Power Project. Uh, like you said, that the per unit cost of electricity that was bid was very low. And I checked on Wikipedia, it was 2.76, 2 rupees and 76 paisas. Did the private players make any money on that project?
yes. So see, solar plants. What was happening was technology was driving down the cost of panels. The costs were being driven down, and what was happening while bidding was that people were looking down the cost curve. So I'm bidding now, but I need to build the project in 2 years. So I'm going to procure my panels 1 year from now. So they were looking ahead and trying to sort of build in that cost decrease. And part of that was speculation. Part of that was that certain good players really had good tie-ups with grade one suppliers, so they knew what their costs would be, and they could lock into that. So all this dynamics was working, and so what was a very low tariff at that point became a very attractive tariff by the time the project was implemented. So tariffs have come down even much more than that period later.
What's the current tariff for new projects that are going online now?
So now with us now it would have been much less, but right now it is more like 2 rupees 50 paisa is the norm per kilowatt hour. It would have been much less, except that government of India decided that okay, we need to be self-sufficient in production of panels. So they started a policy where to that all projects which are selling power to government entities must procure from an approved list of module manufacturers, and all those approved lists were Indian manufacturers. So they are promoting Indian manufacturing of panels, and so that has increased the cost. They've also introduced import tariffs on imported panels, etc. So it has increased the cost, but it is helping create an industry, manufacturing industry in India.
Very nice.